Last week, I shared how Redfin's website has become less about real estate education of their customers and more about political activism. This week, I'm going to show you how Zillow outdoes them with not one, but two just stupid articles. One is just completely fake news and how they're trying to mislead customers rather than educate them. Before we get into that, let's make sure we know where the market is, and then we can talk about where they might go. And as I always mention, there's two things in any economic system. There's supply and demand. Supply is going to be the inventory. Demand is going to be driven in real estate by the mortgage rates. The lower the rates, more demand. Higher rates, less demand. Now let's see where those numbers are for us today. Mortgage rates inched up again, ending at 7.39 from 7.37 last week. You can see that for the last month or so, above 7%, continuing to move forward. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to continue up. It's not necessarily a trend, but it could look like that at some point. We were between 6 and 7 all year long. We've busted through 7, and who knows where we're headed, but it would appear at this point that the market is not moving back down or correcting down below 7 anytime soon. Now, at these numbers, there has been a reduction of the demand. Everybody across the market feels it to a degree, but still very healthy buyer market because why? Limited supply. And that's where the inventory comes into play. We are still at all-time low numbers of homes for sale. We can't have a market crash if there's not more homes for sale than there are buyers. And so as long as those inventory numbers stay low, and they've been staying low and appear turning lower, and there's factors that might keep houses off the market for a while, the low interest rates many homeowners have. So we'll see. A great check-in for those of us in the Los Angeles area. Altos Research does a great job, and they show the market index is back at 44, which is the seller's market. It was just above, it's at 43, about the same as it was last week. So 43 is the new number. It just changed. It was 44 a couple days ago, 43 last week. One of the key numbers I watch is dollars per square foot, what you get when you buy something. And you can see that number had peaked at about $8.50 per square foot and is now down to $8.25 per square foot. So you're getting less square feet. Now, it could mean higher value properties. It also could mean that the cost for just a standard square foot of home is going down, and that would indicate a slowdown of demand. It's something to be paid attention to. Now, when we talk about the market slowing down, we don't mean the prices are dropping. There's a key distinction between the number of sales and the price of sales. One of my favorite authors is Mike Del Prete. He's actually the keynote at our EXP convention coming up, and he shows how sales are down 27% from the average over the last few years, down 20% from last year. So the number of homes is down by 20%. And I think when you look at the numbers, I'll show you later in the data, that's because we had so many extra sales in 2021 and 2022 that people that might be moving this year have already moved. And so that's probably where some of that comes into play. So we have less sales activity, but not decreased prices. One of the things that we've heard over and over is that somehow Wall Street or investors are going to take over the market. It's clearly not true. If you look at the statistics, here's Axios put down the Census Bureau information. It shows you that the change in home sales amongst, I'm sorry, you know what? I gave the wrong tee up on that one, which is two different markets. One market is new home building, and one is resale. Resale home sales are down slightly. New building sales are up. And so we look at the sales market overall. What it tells us is that people still want to buy homes. They'd like also to buy new homes. Now, I live in Los Angeles. We don't have many new homes for the market. We've basically stopped building in California. And that's one reason why people are moving to neighboring states, Nevada and Arizona, is there's new homes there to buy. And people like that to move into new residence, not just because of the home, but then the community is new and all the resources are new. And having grown up in a brand new home as a child, and then as a young adult as well, moving into a newer community, there's a certain energy about a new growing community that's exciting that people like. And they can't get that in older communities. And they're moving. That's part of explaining why some of the market movement to those areas. Okay, another interesting statistic that came up today, this week, was the rise of 4-bedroom homes versus 3. So that has a significance because when we talk about median home price, are we talking about the same size home? Because if more homes are 4 than 3, that would think that the median home prices would go up. So you can see, though, overall, though we've had this dramatic increase in 4-bedroom homes, my guess is that people like to have a study or office, like I work from my home now, or more families are aging in place. So different reasons why that might be, but that's a factor to watch its effect on the market statistics. I think it's an interesting factor. Now, one of the factors we hear a lot about is how many homes are owned by investors versus homeowners. And the reality is that number has not changed much. If you look at overall the market, the homes owned by homeowners has gone up over the last period of time, 6 years or so. The rental number of homes owned by renters has not gone up much. And so what we're seeing is that the housing inventory is still primarily an owner-occupied home, which is very interesting because the same provider of this data, Axios, now they're giving data from the Census Bureau. The same people are saying, tale of two, whoops, I got the wrong spot here. Why am I keep clicking the wrong spot here? I am getting the wrong, oh yeah. They're saying the problem with America's high home ownership rate, as if that's a problem. And they go on to say it's a problem because people buy homes and stay in them, they don't move. Well, of course, if you build more homes, people can move into them. It's insanity to think people are going to buy a house and live in it for 10 years and then choose to no longer live in an owned home. People prefer to own their home. But now we have Axios, which is kind of a cutting edge news organization, kind of giving a case here that this is bad, and it becomes a deeply inefficient distribution of where people live, meaning people will move to where they can buy a home, live in. They're not going to stay where they have to rent. And so think about this. Like in California, where I live in Los Angeles, we build no new homes. We build more rental units. People are voting with their feet. They're leaving, and Axios is calling that a problem. The problem is not that people can't be forced into rentals. I guess if we put a fence up and kept people in California, they couldn't. The problem is we're not building enough houses. And I'm just curious. I would love to find out this author of this article for Axios. Do they own their own home? I don't see. There's the name here. It is Felix Salmon. I would love to know. Does Felix own a house? Does he aspire to own a house? Does his parents own a house? Because generally speaking, people would own a home. And it's not a problem. The problem is there aren't enough homes. The problem is we're not forming enough families. The problem is we're not giving enough people the chance to own a home and enjoy the American dream. Now, let me give you a macro picture of how bad the news is. The news industry is so bad. Here's searches on housing crash, because people hear about housing crash all the time. And you can see that there's always been a certain interest in the subject. It jumped up when the pandemic started. We had no housing crash. And then it really jumped up a lot 2022 as we had more intensity, and you can see it spiked up, but you can see it's come back down to about to where it's been over time. So a lot of wasted energy. A lot of people panicked and encouraged to click on clickbait about housing crashes, and there's been no housing crash. In fact, let's take a look at comparing the red stable as financial education. What it means is two things. One, these websites, Redfin and Zillow among them, are wasting people's time talking about housing crashes instead of the missed opportunity. There are customers who want to learn about financial education and look at the topics that the people want to learn about. The housing market. They also want to learn about what type of loan gives interest subsidy, where we get free money, what percentage of gross salary should go to homeowners, what repayment plan should be placed. All of these are things that people want to learn about, and Zillow and Redfin and them are too focused on talking about housing crashes and distracting people from, the opportunity is really to teach your customers, and if you teach customers, that you'll make them more effective and they'll appreciate you, I think, in the long run. Here's another one. Redfin, not to miss a chance to mislead and scare customers. This week comes up with pending home sales ticked up. Notice the word ticked up in July, but still hovered near recent low. Now let's take a look at the actual graph. And that's what they're calling a tick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months of pretty steady increases is a tick. And I don't know what that number represents, but it looks like 30, 40, 50,000 increases. It seems like the same kind of pace from before. And this is the graph I was telling you about. I think if we took some of these extra sales and smoothed them out here and here, we'd be back to where we are. The reason I think we have lower sales is there are people who bought a year or two ago when the rates were crazy good who don't need a house today because they bought one 2 years ago. but it looks like things are pointed back in the right direction. So I don't know if that's ticked up. I would say it's continued a pace of increase that would lead towards recovery. Why would Redfin scare people about that? I don't really understand the psychology. Another one I don't get is Zillow. Now Zillow, Zillow did a double dip today. The first misleading article from Zillow is this one. Zillow Home Loans offers 1% down payment option. Well, that sounds great. I mean, who wouldn't want a 1% down payment option? And when you look at this article, this is the Zillow echo chamber. It gets repeated throughout the United States. And Yahoo Finance ran it, and New York Post runs it, and every kind of website runs it. But what they tell you in small print here that doesn't get picked up in the other articles is a program right now is just being launched in Arizona. And they plan to release it nationally. Well, they also plan to have that Zillow iBuyer program that was a big failure. They also plan to increase the mortgage business, which was a big failure. So just because they plan to do it doesn't mean they're really going to do it. So really what this should say is Zillow tests a program. It's been around for a while. Other lenders do this. In Arizona, one market. But if they did that, nobody would click on it. And so what Zillow does is they know that they put the bait out there and every other real estate website will click on it and talk about Zillow and get their name out and talk about this program. And as a result, buyers will call realtors and realtors go on the Zillow website looking for this loan program that 99.9% of the shoppers can't get. Unless you live in Arizona, you can't get it for sure. So I don't know, is that misleading? I would think so. You know, I have a license in California. We're not allowed to have deceptive advertising. I think when a national company like Zillow advertises a program and only down the paragraph puts that's only in Arizona, instead of saying it's a test program, and then they know other news organizations will pick it up and run with it, to me that's deceptive advertising. It's not advertising, it's deceptive marketing. But Zillow's an $11 billion company, they can get away with that. But actually, Zillow got away with worse this week. I think this is the worst real estate news story I've seen, and that's saying a lot. So my Raspberry Award for the week goes to Zillow, who just couldn't miss a chance to report that Donald Trump sold Mar-a-Lago. Now, I don't want to get into politics. I don't care if you love Trump or hate Trump. I'm a real estate broker. I just wish Zillow was held to the standard that journalists used to be held to. And if they're going to have information, it'd be accurate. And if they make mistakes, they're at least done in good faith. This one clearly is not. What do I mean by that? So somehow once Zillow put it up, it came up quickly and went down because it was wrong. As soon as it went up, somebody notified the Trumps, and Trump said, hey, this is wrong. We didn't sell the property. The man who tweeted this that caused the storm is a political activist, Colin Rugg. As far as I can tell, all he does is politics, even if that's his real name and if he is a real person. And so what he does is he makes it look like, well, I didn't say this. Zillow's reporting it. Just weeks before he was arrested in Fulton County. You see how he tries to tie that as of the reason why. And the reason why you know this is fake is take a look at the price and tax history. This is fake, meaning in Zillow and Trulia and Redfin, often they have the public record data of the last sale. And it's pretty accurate. I mean, I look at it all the time. But this would indicate that Trulia, which is owned by Zillow, a little sneaky here, had posted that there had been an actual sale in the public records on August 4th for $422 million. That's not true. You go to Trulia today, you don't see that. So whoever put this here photoshopped it or somehow frauded this. Why would they do that? Obviously, they hate Trump. This guy tweets it, and it goes to the whole internet. All kinds of companies. Mar-a-Lago sold. Oops, Eric denies Mar-a-Lago sold. Report, Trump evidently didn't sell Mar-a-Lago. It happened so quickly, the story shifted from he sold it to he didn't. Now let's walk through it a little more slowly. They put this fake thing up on Zillow. Then the next thing that happens is Andrew Weissman, and he happens to be an attorney for the government, now he works for MSNBC. He was on the Mueller team investigating Trump. He puts fraudulent transfer, ? Now, he's an attorney, smart guy. He didn't say it's a fraudulent transfer. It just, mentally, that's what goes to your mind. In reality, he's just asked the question. So he is completely safe in asking the question, but he's a journalist. He knows darn well, because he's being told to tweet on this. This is all part of a group. You can see because it happened so quickly back on August 24th. And here's somebody saying, I'm seeing reports that he may have turned over Mar-a-Lago to a company owned by Donald Trump Jr. before surrendering. That's what he's being told? Well, nobody's being told. That's either public records or it's not. They know it's not, because that record's no longer there in the public records on Zillow or Trulia. It was a fake. And then all these websites get to run that. Here's Forbes magazine, here's Newsweek. And then what they do is they run the fake story. And then here's Newsweek. They don't say, hey, we were fooled. They don't say we were dishonest. We should at least check the public record information on a $422 million transaction. We should have confirmed it. They put not just incorrect information, they put in quote marks. Why? Because if you hate Trump, you would look at that and go, oh, he says it's incorrect, but I know it's really true. Or here's another one. Oops, Eric Trump denies Mar-a-Lago. Well, it's not that Eric Trump denied it. It didn't happen. But by putting it that way, it gets the Trump haters to click on the website. They hate Eric Trump. They hate Donald Trump. And he's probably lying about it. They probably caught him lying again, is the emotion they want. I don't really care about all this in politics. Why is Zillow getting involved in this? I find it very troubling. To me, what I've noticed is Zillow and Redfin, which originally prided themselves on having great data and educating customers, have increasingly become, like many corporations, big corporate bullies. And believe me, there's a saying in business, in the internet, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. If you're watching Zillow for their real estate information, and you're not paying for it, they're selling your eyeballs. They're either going to fool you by putting out nonsense like this, or sell your leads to people that you don't want to talk to. Same with Redfin. And it is very troublesome, because I think that increasingly, real estate buyers who need education and want education are being diverted and distracted by nonsense, rather than learning how to be effective and productive and successful in the greatest opportunity in the history of the world ever to build income and wealth, which is the U.S. real estate market. I'm here to help you with that. So if you're not distracted, if you have a house to sell, you have a house to buy, or you have a question about putting a plan together, let's talk. Let's not get distracted and do the real work. I don't care if you like Trump or hate Trump. I can help you get the best result on your situation, buying or selling. That should be the focus. That should be Zillow's focus. That should be Redfin's focus. Alas, they're not, but it's my focus today. So if I can help at all, reach out, call, text, or email me. As always, make today your best day ever. Thanks.